Ready. Play.
Okay, take a microphone.
Yeah.
And keep it here. So, first of all, is it Aziz Dougaz? Is that right?
Correct, yeah, you got
Okay.
it perfectly right.
Oh, wow. Normally I get these things wrong, but Aziz, how was the training today, by the way?
Good day, yeah, good day. I'm traveling tomorrow, so it was just a practice day and just to stay in rhythm, in contact with the ball, kind of.
Where are you traveling to tomorrow?
I'm going to Canada for two 25Ks and two challenges there to finish up the year.
Okay. In Calgary, right?
One of the challenges is in Calgary, yes.
Okay. I'd like to know, therefore, a little bit about life on tour, particularly as I think your ranking right now is 246?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And your career high is 236?
I think it's 210 or
210.
somewhere around there, yes.
All right. So yet to get into the top 200.
Yes.
What is life like on tour when you're around this ranking?
I started playing on tour. I went to college in the US.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing on tour. My first full year on tour was 220, which was the COVID year, so it wasn't a great timing for me. But I don't know if we can count that year as a year on tour or no, probably not. So I had like 221, 22, and this is my third year full on tour. Obviously, a lot of good things, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But especially at this ranking, this is the first year I played two Grand Slams. I played Wimbledon and US Open, so that already started to change your career in a way, because financially it's obviously a much better opportunity for players, and that's what all players are trying to fight for, to make the cut for slams as the first goal, I guess. And that changes quite a lot of things for your season, for the budget, and for just planning overall.
Let's talk about the budget. Do you have a coach?
I do have a coach. We do weeks, so he's not full-time with me. We do weeks, and yeah.
What does the ATP pay for exactly for you? Would they pay for your hotel when you're going to these places? Do they provide physios?
So when you're playing a future, like a 15 or 25K, you get nothing paid for. Like the hotel, you have to pay the hotel, your flights, everything. So even winning the tournament, if you have a coach, you don't even break even. You lose money no matter what. On the Challenger Tour, which are the first ATP tournaments, it already starts getting much better because the hotel is paid for minimum of 5 nights, and you get a full room, so you can split it with your coach. Not many coaches accept to do that, so it's also a little bit tricky. But that's already a big win budget-wise to get the hotel paid for, and then obviously prize money is a little bit higher, so you lose money, but not as much money as on the ITF tour.
Okay, so listen, let's get this into perspective. You're making qualifying for Grand Slams. You've not made a first round yet. You are, career high 210, but currently 246. So you are, let's say you're in the top 250 players in the world, that's for sure. This year, 2023, which has been your best year on tour so far, your outgoings in terms of expenditure and your incomings, are you making a profit?
I think this is also by far the year I've spent the most, because I've been playing only challenges, and the tricky part of challenges, you have to pay flights week in, week out, because none of the events are in the same spot. With Future, you can go play a series of Future in the same place. I had a chance to be able to play Futures a lot in my country, in Tunisia, and hotel was taken care of by my federation, so that was amazing. That was an amazing start for Tunisian players. Actually, it's a huge opportunity we have. I wish more players could use it, but I think I haven't made the count yet, because honestly I get a little bit too rational when I start counting. And I think if you want to play tennis at a certain level, you cannot be too rational about these things, because then you're like, what am I doing? Like I'm playing all year, I'm fighting, and I'm making barely nothing.
It's the same with a YouTube channel, let me tell you. The money I'm spending on my channel, and
exactly. So it's better not to count.
Yeah.
And to keep it at the end of the year, and try to move on as fast as possible, because otherwise you just start questioning yourself, like, what am I doing with my life?
Sure.
Is this the right thing to do? Is this smart? Is this wise, you know. So.
In a way, what you're saying as well is that where your current ranking is and where your career is right now, because it's more expensive, actually, the making a profit is less possible, if you like, because maybe when you were younger and you were looking at futures and there were certain things paid for by other organizations and there wasn't so much financial pressure. Whereas now at 250 and you're traveling more and you're going doing challenges, it kind of gets. Is there a point, first of all, in the rankings and levels of success? If, for example, let's just say you're ranked 150, you make one Grand Slam a year, first round, and you win a challenger. That's probably the sort of area when you start to make a profit. Would that make sense?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I think already if you play 4 slams every year, like the qualifying of 4 slams, I think that's already a big step. Like that's a big game changer for me. I've only played 2 this year, so it's kind of unusual. It's a new thing, but I'm guessing that's the goal for every player. If you can play 4 of them, then you have so much more visibility and you can count. Obviously, playing 4, you're hoping to qualify and go deep in 1 or 2 or some of them. So I think that's a big game changer. But like you said, I think challenges are a great opportunity to move up. You have to go through it. But for a player like me, for example, I'm spending so much more on challenges than I did in futures. In futures, I didn't spend much. I was playing in my own country, not traveling, hotel paid for. So the money you make on the tournament, you put some in the pocket. Obviously, it's not much, and I'm an exception with that because I had the hotel taken care of by my federation in my country. So, challenges much tougher, and I think it also depends also the country where you're from. If you have a lot of challenges in your home country, in the region, in your own region. I'm from Tunisia. We have the whole year. I think we have 1 challenger in Africa.
Okay.
So that's also tough. If we had maybe 10 challenges in Tunisia and 10 or 15 others in the region in North Africa, for sure expenses would be much less. So I think that also plays a role with sponsors. Obviously, not the same being a player from Tunisia and a player from maybe a European country where tennis is a big cultural thing. So it's tougher, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about tennis and the culture here in Tunisia. We've got somebody who's doing quite well on the WTA tour these days, so that helps, and fingers crossed it'll help the next generation. But I guess when you were a kid, I mean, how did you get into tennis?
I think when I was a kid, we had no professional players on tour. Maybe the highest ranked one was around 600-700 in the world, so not quite high, and I started playing tennis. I mean, it was just by luck. My dad went to the club to play, and he plays for fun, maybe once, twice a week, and that's how I started. I wanted to play, and I guess, honestly, I wouldn't be able to give a reason why I started. It just happened, and I loved it, so I just kept playing, and I dreamt really early though to be a professional tennis player. Okay. Since I started maybe 6-7 years old, I already knew that these guys I'm watching on TV, that's what I want to do in life.
And who were you watching? Who were you particularly? I mean, you're a lefty, right?
Yes, yeah. So for me, growing up was definitely Rafa.
Yeah.
But the more years have gone, the more I'm a fan of Djokovic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your game, tell us about your game. You know, what is it similar to, or a player it's similar to, or just in general?
I don't know if I can compare it to any player. I think maybe the lefty I can relate to the most would be maybe Verdasco, not Rafa, like game style wise. But I think my strengths is my serve, my forehand, and try to build as much on that. So I think Verdasco was a great example. He had amazing years when I was a kid growing up. I remember the semi-final he played against Rafa in Australia. I mean, that was epic, and he had so many insane matches. So he was always a really good example for me, tennis-wise.
And what about the slams this year? How was it? I mean, I guess there's no grass courts in Tunisia, right?
No.
So have you had a lot of experience on the grass, and how was Wimbledon?
So Wimbledon, my first slam was quite special. I was actually number 2 out for making the French Open qualies, which was kind of hard. But Wimbledon was my first. Obviously, no grass court in Tunisia, so it's a little bit tricky. It was a tricky preparation. I trained on hard courts before going, so
Okay.
it was not ideal.
I
think
hope they
there
were
is
fast hard courts.
kind of slow hard courts,
Okay.
man. So it was definitely not an ideal preparation, but I think it was an amazing experience, and for sure next year I'll have much more experience and knowledge on the grass. So I'll definitely also prepare better and adjust better on the grass.
Tell us about the Wimbledon experience as well. I mean, is it as special as many people say it is, with all white and the tradition and everything else?
I think it is really special. I think for the qualies it's a little bit different because it's another site, so we don't play on the main Wimbledon site,
Sure.
which is where the history of tennis is, and I think it would feel amazing to play there. But the qualies is in Roehampton, which is a little bit far from the main site, so it is definitely special, like with the tradition, with the crowds, with the grass itself, with the white and just the overall atmosphere. But I think it would be much more special to make a main draw. So yeah, I'm really excited to come back there, and one of my goals, is to reach the main draw there soon.
Is hard court your preferred surface though, clay compared to clay?
Yeah, I grew up on clay. I always thought clay was my best surface, but going to the US and playing 4 years of college tennis kind of made me change that. So I would say I'm hard court and clay court player. So I would like faster conditions, though I wouldn't be too keen to play on slow conditions.
So you move quite well on the clay, you think?
Yeah, I think my movement on the clay is quite good. Super slow clay courts. I'm not a big fan, but I really love like a fast clay court with a high bounce. I think
Somewhere
it
like
suits my
Madrid,
game.
maybe?
Yeah, something with altitude like Madrid, or a little bit faster clay. I've played some tournament in Brazil with a little bit of altitude and clay, which was kind of helping a lot for my game style.
Are you going to stick to challenges next year, or are you going to try and do some 500s or masters?
I think obviously it will depend how I start the year. I'm trying now first to kind of make the cut for Australia. I have 4 weeks left. I believe my ranking on the live ranking now, I'm 231. So I've got some 4 or 5 events left in the year to kind of score some points and hopefully reach that goal. And then for sure next year I will have some ATPs on my schedule. I'll try to get in some. Depending the weeks and the region where I'll be during that time, for sure.
I mean, of course, travel will come involved in it, but Rio, which is a 500, and Madrid, which is a 1,000. You mentioned South America. You also mentioned, the altitude. Maybe one of those we might see you there. I say that because the reason I mentioned those 2 tournaments is because I think we'll be Talking Tennis will be at both of those next year.
Awesome. So hopefully we can
Hopefully we can catch up again. Yeah. Talking of next year, just finally, what are the sort of goals, if you like, that you really want to try and achieve?
So for me, my goal for this year was to be in the top 220 by the end of the year. I think I'm still in the race for that. I believe I can reach that goal with the last remaining weeks. And for the end of 224, it would be to be in the top 150 and get as close as possible to the top 100.
And sort of try and qualify for all 4 slams.
Yes, obviously. I mean, this year was my first year playing slam, so it was a little bit different approach because I was running behind the cut and trying to make it. But I think 224, I'll also base a lot of my schedule and my trainings on the slams. I'll try to be the best version of myself during those weeks, because I think those are the weeks where careers can change, and I'll definitely put a lot of emphasis on those tournaments next year. Yes.
Just come back on the lefty point of view, because I think a lot of people who watch tennis, particularly if they're right-handers and they play, maybe they don't quite understand what it is about a lefty that makes you very difficult for your opponent.
Honestly, I hate playing lefties.
You don't like
So,
playing lefties as
yes.
well, okay.
So
Have you got a bad record against lefties generally?
I'm not sure about my record. I think the last 2 I've won that I remember, but it is not so enjoyable to play them because I feel like we both have to change our games so much. It's not the same patterns. The ball is coming on a different side. The effects are completely opposite. So it is super frustrating at times, especially the serve to return. So realizing that, I'm like, well, that's a great chance I have. So I gotta use it as much as I can, and yeah, make it as tough as possible for the righties when I play them.
All right, thank you very much, Aziz, and good luck for the near future, but also next year.
Yeah, well, thanks. It was my pleasure, and hopefully we can catch up soon in some of the big events.
What we do, by the way, with players that we interview on a one-to-one basis like yourself, we've done Liam Brody, we've had Laura Sigmund on the women's side, and Ostapenko and many others. We often call them friends of the show. So randomly, your name will appear in the next few months, and we'll say, Aziz, friend of the show.
Well, I'm happy to be a friend of the show. Man.
Aziz, nice to meet you. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.